So a few weeks ago, let's see, Benny, Phil, Justice, Cohart, Kratz, and I went down to Rowan. So we've developed a relationship with Rowan University Computer Science Department over the past several years. And in fact, Benny, Phil, and Justice all came out of that program as interns and are now full-time employees with us. And Phil is now called Professor Phil down there. He's an adjunct professor and teaches some things down there. We got invited to an ACM meeting to kind of talk about our development process. And I thought that the team did a really great job. So I'm going to steal their slides and kind of do some highlights here because I think it's kind of one of the foundational things about our company is how we build products. And it's going to kind of get into the nitty-gritty here, not too deep, but deep enough that you'll get an appreciation that we really trying to do things in a quality manner here. And the team that's part of this just do a fantastic job. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about our software development process and system infrastructure, how we do things here.
We view ourselves in partnership with our customers. We're successful when you're all successful. Our job is to basically build technology that all of our customers can benefit from.
In the blog post, there's a set of slides that we used. I'm not going to go through all of them here, but this is one that Bruce Kratz made. Bruce is our VP of development here. Our main office is in Moorestown, New Jersey, and it's actually in this 150-year-old mill building. And while it looks like it might fall down, we're still here and it's still up after 150 years. The first floor is this great old-style hardware store. And on the second floor is this team, well, at least part of the team because we're spread remotely, this team that builds outstanding software technology. It's just very, very contrasting type of situation that we have here, which I love. I'm going to skip right down into kind of how we build stuff. So our main stack from building software is around LAMP. So it's Linux, Apache, MySQL, and PHP. We have kind of updated things over the years and migrated our PHP implementation to a really strict kind of object-oriented type of methodology that I'll touch on in a minute here. We kind of trade in new technology as it comes along. So like a lot of our UI right now, we're starting to do Vue type of componentry and things like that. Intermixed with all of this is lots of other technology that we use. So we use a fair amount of Lambdas. And Lambdas are these kind of serverless components that Amazon uses, and we use that for non-critical types of infrastructure. Speaking of infrastructure, this is kind of a high-level network diagram of what the main flow is. So things come in to a bunch of load balancers that use Nginx technology. Those filter out into a bunch of web servers. And what we do is we spread these load balancers and web servers across multiple different regions and availability zones. So it gives us high availability so that we kind of withstand anything that happens in any kind of availability zone in Amazon. So over the past several years, if you do a Google and look for availability, you'll see that big websites kind of went down, including things like Twitter, went down while we stayed up. And the reason is because of this type of architecture. Behind that, we call a database, but we have this caching layer in between using memcache. And that caching layer is also built in a resilient way. And what it does is it makes our system very, very fast. So when we don't need to go to the database, we don't go to the database, and that improves our scalability on the database side. On the backend database side, we use Amazon Aurora, which hosts our MySQL database instances. And we, again, do this in a very scalable way. We are one of the beta testers for Amazon for Aurora. And it's great technology because it allows us to kind of auto-scale our database infrastructure. So we have, multiple database servers in the background and architected in a really nice way. In between all of the way that we kind of implement our different services and applications, we use a lot of SQS. So that's this queuing service that allows us to withstand network disruptions and delays and things like that. So when we're communicating to payment processors and things like that, we go through SQS. We also optimize how we do our database queries utilizing some SQS features as well. Our code architecture, this is a diagram that shows like a high-level flow of how a request comes in and how we've kind of got it broken into this object-oriented way. On the front end, we use Smarty, which is a PHP service that allows us to templatize things. So it allows our UX team to kind of develop front-end type of UI componentry and so forth, and allows our back-end developers to utilize reusable database objects and things like that. The other thing that we're really proud of is basically the continuous improvement process that we've built into our software development cycle and our system. So it's incredibly easy for us to deploy new code into this environment without disturbing the environment. So what that means is that you might be using the site, and between clicks, the site is actually getting upgraded. And like in Q1, we did 553 deployments. So that means the entire site became new. It might have been just one little tiny feature, but it might have been a pretty big feature, like the new way that we do corrals or something like that. We do this across a fairly large team, but the way that we've built the team, it says 19 software engineers. This is on kind of the RunSignup, ticket signup side of things. It does not include the event day team, the race day team that's building race day scoring and the check-in app and so forth. But this team is really involved in the cloud service, if you will. And what we have biased towards is basically hiring smart developers that are full-time employees. We don't contract or outsource any of our software development here. We think that software is kind of like the foundation of our company. So it's just too important to let some outsider use it and create it for us. Here's our development process. So what we try to do is we try to break down tasks and then assign them to an appropriate software developer. So some tasks might be really complicated, so we want one of our more senior developers working on it. And some tasks might be a little bit easier, so it allows for a newer, more junior developer to work on it. And what we're striving to do is match the talent and the task together so that people and the software developers can feel good about it, can feel successful when they go and implement stuff. They can stretch some and learn some, but also it's within their capabilities so that they feel motivated to keep moving on. And we give those software developers a ton of power, actually, because they get to decide how it's really implemented. They call people and they talk to people, they Slack with people that are in the sales and account management team to find out what the customers are really asking for in this new feature. They work with people like myself and Allison to get feedback on what is really needed in the product. And then they ask their fellow developers for help in terms of how to implement it. If it's easy to do and it's pretty clear, they don't really need to bother anybody and they keep going with it. If it's not quite clear, they get kind of input. But at the end of the day, they're actually putting the code together to actually implement those new features. We do this in a collaborative type of way. So we have a dedicated UX team, and we're very blessed to have Darren and Jeff on the team to really make the user experience better and better. And this is something that, our users increasingly compliment us about. And so they're working with the developers, and the developer is kind of working in all the PHP and database stuff and Vue stuff. And the UX people are trying to make things work. Code reviews is a really important part of our process. So developers do all their development locally, but then they go through code review. So every line of code that comes through our system is actually reviewed by somebody else and then deployed by somebody else. So that means that there's no single person that controls everything. And it also ensures this learning process that happens. So more senior developers are kind of reviewing the code for more junior developers. The junior developer may have developed it in a way, but the senior developer sees a better way of doing it. And this learning process is something that makes those junior developers more and more senior over time. Our design system is really great. So Jeff and Darren have built this incrementally over years. There's got to be over 100 different components now, every type of UI element that you have. And what this allows a developer to do is just go to the design system and pick a component like a button or a form field or a table and just move that into their environment and work on it and get the application done that much sooner. And what it does is it allows us to have a lot more consistency in the user experience. And the other thing that we increasingly are doing is using tests. So when you're developing a feature as a software developer, you're also developing a set of unit tests. Those unit tests go into a test framework that you can then kind of check to make sure that, when you've made changes, did it break something? We've just got a ton of tests now. I think we're up in the 11, 12,000 test range. So that's kind of a quick, bird's eye view of how we do development. I think we're actually going to have the team that did this presentation at Rowan do a webinar on it. So once they do that, we'll include a link on this blog as well to that if you want to get into more details on this. But software development is the key to our company because it builds the product that our customers use, and it's the reason why our customers are using our product. And we care a lot about it. We've used the word art of technology in the past, and it's a true masterpiece that our software development team, has built and continues to improve upon every day. So if you like this video, press the little like button, or is it like button? And then you can also subscribe if you want to see more videos, either that I do in this Founder Corner thing, or what we produce overall at RunSignup and Ticket Signup and GiveSignup.